If you are someone who is struggling to trade profitably, you want to get funded, you want to make consistent payouts, and you want to scale your trading income, I wanted to share with you in this video this one philosophy, this one thing that actually helped me to become a profitable trader, so that you can just copy me, you can implement it into your own trading so that you can start to trade profitably, or if you are slightly profitable, break even, you can begin to get funded, make consistent payouts, and ultimately scale your trading income so you can go on to trade full time, quit your job, and just live a life on your terms. So when I got into the trading, I believed that I always had to be doing something. And you're probably the same. You probably feel as if you're not doing something. If you're not taking trades, it means that you're not progressing. And this very thing of feeling or wanting or having the need to be productive and to be looking at the charts all the time, to always wanting to be in the markets and in a trade, is the very thing that is stopping you from scaling your trading, achieving the goals that you want. And it was stopping me. Like I said in the beginning, when I wasn't profitable, when I was unable to make consistent payouts, or I wasn't funded yet, it was because of this one reason. The reason being always wanting to be in a trade, always wanting to do something, always wanting to feel or to be feeling productive. And in the outside world, in any other business, that is right, that is normal. Like, we are told that we need to be productive. The more you put in, the more you will get out. And that is correct, that is true, but it doesn't apply for trading. In trading, the one thing that is gonna make you profitable is actually doing less, but focusing on the best setups. And this is what I'm gonna get more into throughout this video, so that you can get funded or trade profitably, so that you can get funded, scale your trading, make consistent payouts, and achieve the goals that you want. And so the one thing that helped me to get profitable, that helped me to scale my own trading, to get funded, to go full time, is understanding that not trading, so actually stepping away, sitting out and waiting, is equally as important as actively taking a trade. And this is backwards for some people. This is hard to understand at first, but for me, it is the very thing that made me profitable. It was understanding that, okay, if there is no high probability setups, if there is no clear entry criteria for me to take a trade, I don't need to be doing anything. And at first it was very strange, it was hard to adapt to, but the more I became patient with my trading, the more comfortable I became with doing nothing, sitting out and just waiting, the more profitable I became, the easier it was for me to scale my trading, get funded, and ultimately consistently pull money out of the markets. I had to get comfortable with not trading. And this is something that you should do, and that I'm advising that you can just copy me, so that you can ultimately continue to scale your trading, become profitable, and all these things that you want from your trading, by getting comfortable with doing nothing. Doing nothing as a trader is part of your job. Part of my role as a professional trader, as a full-time trader, is to do nothing. It's not to constantly be on the charts, constantly looking for trades and constantly being in a position. That is not what makes me my money. What makes me my money is ultimately having the patience and being comfortable with waiting 3 to 5 days if I need, sometimes even 2 weeks, depending on the markets and its conditions, to take a setup. Not actually doing anything and just sitting out is part of your role as a trader. It's completely normal to not trade. And just by understanding this, by really internalizing this and truly accepting that this is part of my job as a trader, this is when I started to see the results. This is when I started to build profitability. This is when I started to see profitable months, which is what then led me to getting funded multiple six figures and making consistent payouts. And this is why I wanted to share it with you, because this one thing is the very thing that made me profitable. Yes, there's other factors, having a system, understanding myself, but if I can dial it down to one key influence into what made me profitable, it's getting comfortable with not trading. And I wanted to share this with you so that you can also understand the importance of getting comfortable with sitting out, getting comfortable with not doing anything, understanding that it is okay to go multiple days without trading, and ultimately knowing that by you actually waiting, so you opening the charts and then throughout your session, you don't see anything. That's normal. We're risk managers. We want to only be taking the setups that are the highest quality, and they don't present themselves every single day. For my system, I don't have a high probability setup every minute of the day. And no matter what strategy you are trading, you're not going to have a highly profitable A+ setup every minute of the day. It's very unlikely. That's not how the markets work. You've got to develop the patience and the understanding that doing nothing, waiting is your role as a trader. That is your job. That is part of your job description. It's waiting. You're simply making sure you're prepared when you come to the charts. You're opening them up, you're analyzing, and if there is nothing there, the next part of your job is to then wait, to do nothing until you are presented with a high probability setup that is screaming out at you. And that's something that takes obviously practice and experience with your strategy and understanding your system. But when there is a setup presented, for me personally, speaking from experience, when there is a high probability setup presented, it screams out at me. I know exactly, this is what I need to be taking. So I'm going to follow the right risk management, take the trade, and whatever happens, happens. The rest is down to the market. We can't control the outcome. And so that's something that's going to help you to develop patience and to get comfortable with not trading, is that one, it's part of your job. Okay, doing nothing is your job. So don't feel down, don't feel upset. And for me personally, I had to tell myself this. It's normal to do nothing, and that is part of my role as a trader. That's part of my job description. And secondly, if your setups are not screaming at you, if you open the charts or you're trading throughout London, New York, Asian, Tokyo session, or Sydney session, sorry, and if your setup does not scream out at you, if the charts are not clearly indicating to you, yes, it's time to pull the trigger, it's time to execute with good risk management, you need to be doing nothing. You should not be trading. And again, going back from my own experience, my setup will scream out at me. It will clearly show, the charts will clearly indicate to me that there is a setup and it's time to trade. And if that's not happening, if the charts aren't indicating that, and I can clearly pinpoint and see and identify, Lawrence, it's time to execute, I'm going back to the second part of my job, waiting. I'm simply doing nothing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, a week even, if I need to, because I understand that act of waiting, that understanding, or I understand that doing nothing is my job as a trader. It's part of my job description, as I've said, and this one thing is what's made me profitable. It's had the biggest impact on my results. It's what's allowed me to, like I said, acquire multiple six figures in funding, go full time, and make consistent payouts. It's getting comfortable with doing nothing. And I want to share this with you, as I've said, so that you can also internalize this philosophy, understand that less is more, and that it is normal to do nothing and to wait. It's part of your job description as a trader. And I know it sounds very simple, but simply being told this, being reminded that doing nothing, and coming from a profitable trader, a professional trader, I'm hoping that it's going to help you to understand that when you are not trading, when you are doing nothing, it's okay. And something that personally helps me is to get fulfillment outside of trading. If there's no setups, there's nothing there, and the charts aren't screaming out at me to take a position, I have other things in my life that I'm working on. I'm building my business, I'm trying to help other traders, I'm going to the gym, I'm going for walks, I'm cooking food, I love to cook and I love to eat. And so I get fulfillment from other areas in my life and not just from trading. And this makes it easier for me to wait days, weeks even, for the best setups to be presented, and it helps me to not chase the markets and feel like I'm not doing anything or I'm not being productive because I've got other things in my life that fill that gap. And it's important just to finish off here that just because you're not trading doesn't mean you're not progressing. Just because you're not taking positions every day or you haven't taken a position for a whole week, it does not mean that you are not progressing as a trader. The very act of waiting and doing nothing, as I've said, is just as important as actively taking trades. And so I hope this video has helped. If you want to work with me, if you want to learn more, check out the links in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.